Hi everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Gentry, and I'm so happy that you're here. So today I want to talk about shadow work. I know that it's a popular, trendy topic, but I still feel like there's not really an understanding of why it's important and even how to do it. So first, in order to do shadow work, right, we need to know what our shadow is. How I understand our shadow is it is the darker, suppressed parts of our being. So like our demon self, right? I like to think about it in like a yin and yang form, really just for the colors, the black and the white, the shadow and the light. We all have parts of ourselves that nobody knows about. And usually they're behaviors, patterns, thought processes, belief systems, reactions to things, stuff like that. So those things are always associated with a negative energy, and I don't think that they really should be. I think that shadow work is so important because it helps us to integrate the parts of ourselves that we're taught to hide, to suppress, to think that are bad for some reason or another. And maybe they do have some kinks and wrinkles that need to be worked out, and that's what the shadow work is for. So excuse me, I'm gonna look at my notes so I can stay on track. So shadow, what is the shadow? Why is it important? How can we do shadow work? Okay, so doing shadow work is important because if you're not balanced and you're not walking side by side with your shadow, then more than likely you're living in depression, anxiety, sadness, anger, all of those feels that you don't really ever want to feel, and you don't want to stay there. Though, excuse me, sometimes those feelings are really inevitable. We have our ups and downs with our emotions, but if you're not being honest with yourself and integrating your shadow into who you are, you're suppressing a part of yourself, and there's no way that you can truly shine and live your best life and be in alignment if you are not fully present in every single part of you, the good and the bad. Now, one thing that I like to say, and I'm pretty sure I get this from my dad, is that nobody can tell me shit, right? Nobody can tell me shit because I know who I am. I know my faults, I know my weaknesses, I know what I'm good at, and I own every part of it. When I think about the shadow, I always think about Peter Pan. If you've seen Peter Pan, you know that his shadow's trying to get away from him, right? But when he catches the shadow, he sews it to the sole of his foot, to his soul, to the soul. He sews the shadow to his soul, right? So I think the meaning and the symbolism behind that is to walk side by side with your demons. And he never gave up. He chased the shadow. He didn't care, and he caught it, and he was fine, walking right side by side with it. We have to embrace the parts of us that we think we have to hide, because then once we embrace them, we can love them. Our shadow is like the angry person that's always so mean and bullying you, and you really just know that you need love. You need extra love. And guess what? We need love. We need to love ourselves. And a big, big, big part of loving ourselves is doing the shadow work. So I have some tips and exercises and stuff that we can do to help us with our shadow work. Now, one of my favorite things to do, it helped me survive my childhood, is journaling. Journaling. Sometimes we're not comfortable enough to talk to an outside source, whether it's a friend, a family member, a therapist, a counselor, a mentor. Sometimes we just don't want to say it because it hurts, or we don't know how to say it. And I think that journaling is a good way for us to pull stuff out, especially if you have prompts. So I have 3 journaling prompts or exercises to do. The first thing is to make a list of things that you love about you. List of things you love about you. And you will be, I don't know about you, but when I did this one, it was hard. It took me a while, not a while, but I really had to sit there and like, okay, what do I love about myself? And I didn't want to just write things that people always said about me, things that I've heard my whole life. Like, yeah, that's what they like about me. What do I like about me? What do I like about me? Maybe you do something that other people don't like, that they always give you shit for, but you are okay with it. And you know that you're not doing any harm to anybody. And that can be something that you love about yourself. And that right there is a really good example of shadow work, because it's something that people tell you, hey, that's not good. And it's like, why isn't it good? Because you don't like it. If you're not harming anyone, there really is no, I don't feel like there's a negative. And positivity and negativity is very relative, but we'll save that for another video. So yep, the first thing is to make a list of things that you love about you. Excuse me. The second thing is to think about what you do and do not like about your current relationships. Not just your romantic relationships, your anybody, your friends, your family, business people, your romantic partner, the relationship you have with yourself, which is the most important relationship, and the relationship you have with spirit or God, whatever you believe. What do you like about those relationships? What don't you like about them? And I think that when you put that down on paper, you can even write it, make a one side, what you like, what you don't like, and you can compare and contrast. And I think that doing that will help you to get a clear understanding about your relationships, because you might realize that you like a lot of stuff about this relationship, but it could all be based off of superficial things. Or maybe you don't really like anything about this relationship and you feel obliged to continue it because of, I don't know, time put in, blood, somebody telling you that you should because it's the right thing to do. No, your inner guidance system, your emotions, that's how you know what's right and wrong. You don't need anybody else to tell you nothing. When you focus on this and here, it will align you with source. And that's how you will know if you're on the right track or not. But you have to listen to yourself. And sometimes we don't trust ourselves because we are afraid of who we are. And I know that sounds crazy to say, like, I'm not afraid of who I am, but I can tell you from personal experience, we know how powerful we are. And if that power has been suppressed throughout our entire lives, when it starts to peak up, we're gonna, hey, go away. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. You're not supposed to be here. But says who? Says who, right? Okay, so that was number 2. And number 3 is to think about the negative things that you say to yourself. So do you say anything bad to yourself? I know for me, I am always saying, Gentri, get your shit together. Gentri, get your shit together. And I'm just like, I'll say that and then I'll stop and I'll be like, but my shit is together. And if I keep telling myself to get my shit together, that's me implying to myself and the universe that my shit is not together. Why do I want to put that out there? Why do I want to put that out there? We can always say things in a way that are uplifting, even if we have a very intentional message. It does not have to be in a way that puts a low frequency on everything. So think about the negative things that you say to yourself and be real with yourself. That's the hardest thing about shadow work. The hardest thing about shadow work is that you have to face yourself. You are the only person who can do it. You can go to therapy, you can do this, you can talk to whoever, but if you don't look at yourself in the mirror and be real with yourself. Who are you? The shitty parts and the beautiful parts. Think about the way that you talk to yourself and think about the negative things that you say. If you don't say anything negative to yourself, then that means that you don't need to do no shadow work and you don't need to be on this video. But if you're here, then there is something that called you here. What do you say that's negative to yourself? Don't practice them in the mirror. Think about it. Now flip it. How can you say it in a positive way, in an uplifting way? If you're always, if you're always late, you're always fucking late. Why are you late? Why are you late? You can say things like, I have all the time in the world. I'm intentional with my time. I make time for the things that are important to me. I prioritize what I need to do. Say things like that to yourself, because it might sound corny at first, especially if you're surrounded by negative people, if you live in an area where everybody is just low frequency. I know from experience, you have to want it on the inside. You have to want it. And once you start to do it, it might feel foreign, it might feel corny, it might feel stupid. So what? Do it. Work past that, because eventually, it only takes 21 days to make it happen. So I'm just throwing that out there. But eventually, when you continue to do that so much, it will become second nature, and you will look around one day and you'll just be like, wow, I remember when I used to do this and now I do this, or I remember when my life was going in this direction, now it's going in this direction, and I'm surrounded by so many beautiful people and so many things, and I just feel good. Once you start to do that shadow work, you feel good. And the reason I'm putting this video out now is because we are in the midst of shadow work season. Shadow work is a year-round thing for me, because I feel like there's always work to do. Not that there's always healing, but there's always work to do. I feel like they're different. That's another topic for another video as well. But we're heading towards the end of fall, and we're going into winter. Now, just like the animals go into hibernation, it's time for us to go within. It's dark. We don't really go outside much. We change with the seasons, and shadow work season is rapidly approaching. And personally, I feel like it's here now. And especially during this time right now, the transitioning into the age of Aquarius, you don't want to be left behind, right? You don't want to be caught up in, not ascending, not being lifted up. If you do your shadow work, that will certainly help you to raise your vibration. I just am so passionate about this message. And yeah, so getting back on track, the journaling. Okay, so done with the journaling. Second thing that we can do is meditations. I am an avid YouTuber, obviously. Go on YouTube, type in shadow work meditation. They have 10-minute ones, they have 15-minute ones. You can sit there. The guided ones are really good because they usually give you some type of visual exercise that really takes you out of the mindset of, oh, I have to sit here and just listen to myself and think about all these crazy things. It really will help you to focus. So meditations help. And the most important thing is just your lifestyle and being mindful. If you know that you are in a job that's not serving you, that's toxic, get rid of it. Don't focus on the lack, focus on the why. So be mindful of what you're eating, be mindful of what you're drinking, be mindful of who you're around, be mindful of what you're doing, be mindful of what you're listening to. Be mindful, because when you are mindful, you are then being intentional. And that really affects us more than we maybe like to admit, or more than we realize, because if we're surrounded by toxicity, and it doesn't even always have to be toxicity, that word is so dragged out this year, but just everything is not for everyone. You have to really get real with yourself about what it is you want, where it is you are, and what you need to do to get to where you want to be. And now I'm not saying this because I'm this perfect person who has nothing to work on and I have just achieved every single goal and, my life has just been a beautiful garden of sunshine. No. And if you know me personally, you know that that is not the case. But it's just so important. It's so important. And I'm so passionate about helping people feel good on the inside. You can have all the money in the world. You can have all the women, all the men, all the material, tangible things that you think will make you happy. You can have all of that. But if this in here is not feeling good, none of that shit matters. None of that matters. And I just really want everyone to ascend, to feel good, to be in alignment with their purpose, to have a relationship with spirit, however that looks like to you. And shadow work is a very, very, very important step to that. If you are into psychology, there are famous people that you can look up if you want to get into that aspect of it. But yeah, shadow work, shadow work, shadow work, shadow work, shadow work, shadow work. So remember to journal, remember to meditate, remember to be mindful of all the relationships that you have with everything: people, food, music, surroundings, most importantly with yourself. Because working with your shadow is all about integrating those dark parts that we feel like have to be hidden, that have no place. And they do have a place. They do. The bad kid in school still needs love. The bad kid in the classroom needs the most love. The bad kid in the classroom needs the most love. He needs the most hugs. She or he, the most kisses, because they have built up a sheath around them that keeps them from the light, from the love. And realistically, the only way to help is to help ourselves. That's all we can really do. So I'm gonna leave you guys with that. I'm so glad that you came to visit my channel. Thank you for liking.